Hi everybody, this is Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and today I'm going to show you how we make our sloppy joes. Now, I know a lot of you folks are saying, sloppy joes? Come on, I don't want to use the canned stuff. Well, know what? We're not going to use the canned stuff that has high fructose corn syrup and tons of sodium. We're going to actually make our own. For several years, we have been trying very diligently to get rid of bottled and canned and pre-made things. So we found a recipe for sloppy joes. Our kids have grown up loving it. And so we're gonna try this today. Not try this, we're gonna do this today because we've done this before. We're gonna show you how to do this. So here we go. So now for ingredients, we're going to use some pretty basic stuff. We've got 8 tablespoons of paprika, and we have 4 tablespoons of chopped onion, and yep, I'm going to use the freeze-dried chopped onions. And then we need 4 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, then we're going to go 2 teaspoons of basil leaves and 2 teaspoons of parsley leaves, and we're going to crush those up so that they're really fine and to release those delicious oils. And then we need 4 teaspoons of dry mustard. We need 1 teaspoon of celery salt. And today we're gonna use 4 teaspoons of arrowroot powder. You can use cornstarch if you like, but we're gonna go ahead and use our arrowroot powder today. And we also need 2 teaspoons of salt. So those canned sauces, and yes, we still have some because we like to prepare ahead of time for the what if chance that our kids are saying, hey mom, dad, can you make sloppy joes? So yeah, we do have a few cans here on hand, but I'm not gonna actually show you the label because everybody knows what I'm talking about. But I was looking at the label, and there is absolutely no reason for one can to have 13% of your daily value of sodium and the other one to have 21% sodium in it, 21% of your daily value for sodium in it. There's no reason for that. So we're actually going to cut the salt way back and make this almost from scratch. There's a few things that we have to add to it, but it is going to be mainly from scratch. I haven't quite gotten the hang of making Worcestershire sauce. Who does? Who makes that? If anybody makes that, put the recipe in the description box because I'm interested. And then ketchup, we're going to kind of change this up a little bit to where we're not using ketchup. We're going to use tomato powder and a few other ingredients to where we can cut the sugar and cut the sodium way back because yes, while our bodies still need, I believe it's 1500 milligrams of sodium every day. If I'm wrong, let me know. I think it's that, but we need to cut way back because our sodium levels in our society are way high. So we're gonna cut this back. So here we go. Okay, so during that cut, I actually did go and look on my phone, and yes, the Heart Association recommends no more than 1500 milligrams of sodium in your diet every day. So we're gonna try our best to cut as much of that out as possible. So we've got our handy dandy bowl here. And we are going to go ahead and add our seasoning mix in this bowl, and then we'll mix this together and we will put it in a small mason jar. And when we're done making our sloppy joes, we'll go ahead and seal this so that I can put it on the shelf and it'll stay fresher longer. So we need a half a cup. I said 8 tablespoons earlier, but 8 tablespoons equals a half a cup. So we're gonna go with half a cup. And I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna switch hands. So a half a cup of paprika. And then we will switch to tablespoons. We need 4 tablespoons of our onions, which is 1/4 of a cup. About like that. And these are Thrive Life onions. I don't have to cut them. I don't have to do anything. They're just done freeze-dried. They are delicious. Then we need 4 teaspoons of chili powder. Just like so. And if you want more spice in yours, by all means, add more spice. Now we're going to take some basil leaves and I'm going to put them in my hand. We need 2 teaspoons of basil leaves. I'll do one at a time, and I'm just going to crush them up in my hand so it releases those oils that are in there and just makes the flavor pop. It's so good. And besides, you don't want humongous chunks of basil in your sloppy joes, unless you like that. So we're just gonna grind this up. We'll do that with another teaspoon here, and then we'll do that with same thing with our parsley. And if you have a mortar and pestle, you could probably use that instead. And I have one, it's over there. But you know what? Something that my mother-in-law taught me years ago when she was teaching me to cook. God gave you these first. So we're gonna use these first. So, and besides, it's easier to wash. Now we need 2 teaspoons of parsley. And you guys have been absolutely very gracious when it comes to my videos, me doing them by myself. I am starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. You know, when the kids aren't hanging around and causing all kinds of havoc, which, you know, they're kids, they do that. I have less anxiety about being in front of the camera. So, and I know we're not supposed to be anxious, but you know, sometimes it just happens. All right, so there's our parsley and our basil. Now we need 4 teaspoons of dry mustard. We're gonna go ahead and do that. You know what, I'm just gonna use the tablespoon. Just as a tip, I know a lot of you who cook, 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So just makes scooping things a lot easier. So there's 4 teaspoons. And then we need our salt, which I forgot. I think the kids took off with it. Where'd it go? I don't know. Oh, here it is. That was me. I moved it over there, so it wasn't in my way, but I forgot that I needed it. So it says 2 teaspoons. Now this is for the whole mix. So if you want to eliminate the salt altogether, you can. We are using a Himalayan sea salt, which is actually much less salty than, say, your iodized table salt. So 2 teaspoons for this whole batch is really not a big deal. 2 teaspoons there. And then we need our black pepper, and we're gonna use 2 teaspoons of that. And like I said before, if you want to add more heat, now's a great time. You can add like red pepper flakes or cayenne or whatever you would like. So now we're gonna add our arrowroot powder. And we need 4 teaspoons of that. So I'll use 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon. And you can also use cornstarch, whatever is your favorite thickener. I just happen to have both, but I decided I was gonna go ahead and use arrowroot powder for this particular recipe. So I'm gonna take my tablespoon, I'm just gonna give this a good mix and kind of break up those pieces of the big clumps of paprika, and whatever else is in there. Just give this a good mix. And then we're gonna go ahead and put it in our mason jar. And if you wanted, instead of using onion flakes, you could use onion powder. I like those big bits of onion in there. So, got my canning funnel and my jar here. I'm just gonna pour this in there. Now, for our recipe, we are going to use 1/3 cup per 1 pound of ground beef. I double the recipe because our kids really like it. They like to have a lot of leftovers. And I just realized I forgot the celery salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the celery salt. We only need 1 teaspoon of that. And this is high production. This is why, you know, we're all human, we all make mistakes, right? So I'll take my spoon and just give that a good stir. And actually, what I'm going to do is take my lid and just give it a good shake. That way it's all mixed together. So if you want, you can double this, quadruple this, make up a bunch, vacuum seal these jars. I wanted to share this with you again. I have used this every day since it came to the house. I love this thing. This is a mason jar sealer, vacuum sealer, and you can vacuum seal regular mouth jars like this one, or you take off the adapter and you can do wide mouth. All in the same machine. It's battery powered, it's rechargeable, so you don't have to change batteries. It's very low wattage, it uses very little battery. It uses about 1% of the battery every time I vacuum seal a jar. So I'm going to show you how it works really quick before we move on to making the sloppy joes. So we just take this part here and put it over the top of our mason jar. Make sure it is down as far as it can go, and then you press power. I like to hold it down just a little bit so that it makes a good seal. And then I let go after about 10 seconds, and then let this go for about 30 seconds, and it's sealed. It's done. I really like this gadget. This is one of my favorites. If you have not seen me talk about this before, it is in the link for it is in the description box, so you can check that out. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take our seasoning here, and we're going to brown up some ground beef. And I've got our ground beef that we actually raise ourselves and have sent to the butcher. So I know exactly what went into this ground beef, and that's such it's a great feeling to know that, you know, we raised this from the time it was young. I know how the animal was treated. I know how it was butchered, and I know what went into this ground beef. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these packages. Found a super easy way to open these. It seems kind of brutal, but you know, it's really easy to open these. So just slide the knife down there like that, and then peel back. This burner is off, so don't worry that the plastic is melting. I have not turned the burner on. That's how I usually do it. And then open the second package. There we go. All right, now I'm going to get rid of this stuff and wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna turn our burner on here, and I know a lot of you folks who have seen Pampered Chef. They have these great, awesome ground beef tools. Well, I didn't buy the Pampered Chef version. I bought this at the Dollar Tree. And you know what? If it breaks, that's okay. I'll just throw it away and go get another one. So it's cheap. So we're just gonna smash this up, not smash it up, break it up. And it feels like my ground beef isn't quite thawed yet. Now we thaw our ground beef in water in a Ziploc bag, in warm water, not hot water, and I won't microwave it to thaw it. So it's gonna take a little time for that to thaw, and that's okay. Okay, so while this is browning up, we're gonna go ahead and put our mix together. I'm gonna open up our jar and get our seasoning out. Oh, I actually already did. So we need 2/3, since I'm using 2 pounds of ground beef, I'm going to use 2/3 cup of our mix. And again, I'm right-handed, so there's one. So this recipe looks like it would make 2 batches for us. So I will probably, after this video is done, I will probably make up a bunch more of these little jars. So that way, we'll just have it on the shelf ready to go, and I won't have to worry about it. So let's move that over there. All right, now to this, I'm going to add some tomato powder. I'm going to avoid using ketchup because, again, a lot of high fructose corn syrup, a lot of sugar. So I'm trying to cut back on that. So I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons of tomato powder, probably 4. Because we really like it tomatoey. So there's 4 tablespoons of that. Move this out of the way. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in our peppers. Now, we like to have some peppers in there, so I'm actually going to break them up before adding them in here. So about a handful of these, I'm just gonna kind of break them up into little pieces. That way it's not so big of a bite. But you have that flavor of the peppers. We like the bold Sloppy Joe mix. Okay. And then we'll add some green peppers in there. If you wanted, you can chop them on a cutting board. This is just easier. Like I said before, God gave you these first. So I'm just tearing them into pieces. That way it's not such a big bite. All right, now move those out of the way. To this, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. We joke and say witches or sister sauce, but I always get mixed up. So when I try and say it properly, I say it wrong. So I use this gadget in the beginning to kind of break it up, but once it starts to brown, I use the wooden spatula. So we need a couple of tablespoons of this. And then I'm going to add a bit of vinegar. Actually, I'm going to add the water first and then add the vinegar. And this is just apple cider vinegar, just to give it that bite. Just a couple of tablespoons of this. There you go. Give that a mix. Yum. And I think I need to add a bit more liquid to this. Not much though, because you want it to be a thicker paste. But since I put some tomato powder in there and some the bell peppers, it absorbed a lot of the water. So I'm just going to add just a hair more water. Break up some of those big frozen pieces still. Goodness. All right, this ground beef is just about done. There's a few little red spots in there. Just gonna break this up a little bit more. But I did add a couple of more tablespoons of water to our mix here. It's a nice thick mix, good paste. And actually, if you want it a little bit thinner, you can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna mix it in with this ground beef, which there is already some liquid, and a little bit of fat, yes. Our ground beef is actually very low in fat. I was making up a big batch of ground beef one day for tacos that we were gonna just stretch and freeze, and there was very little fat on there. So, but this is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix in our Sloppy Joe mix. And if I find that it's still too thick, I will go ahead and add a little bit more water in there. Get all that off of there. All right, just gonna mix this around. Oh man, this looks so good. I don't think I need to add any liquid whatsoever. I think it's perfect. Okay, folks, this is heated through all the way and actually turned off the burner because it has, there's not a lot of liquid in there and I don't want it to burn. So this is ready to go. You can put this on your favorite favorite buns, rolls, I should say, or however you like to have sloppy joes. We just use a traditional hamburger roll, and I gotta tell you, I tried it before I hit go. Yum. But I'm gonna try it again just to show you. It's a little warm. There is so much flavor. Sorry. Don't talk with food in your mouth, Krista. You should know better. There's so much flavor in there. And no sugar. No added high fructose corn syrup or sugar or anything like that. There's just so much flavor. I can't tell you. And it is so good. I can't wait because the kids were so excited when I said, hey, I'm making sloppy joes as a video, and that's what we're having for dinner. So they were pretty happy about that because they love sloppy joes. So yeah, I hope you like this video. If you do, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And try out the video. I will try this recipe out. I will put the recipe either on the screen. Well, Brad will probably put it on the screen or in the description box. I'm not exactly sure which way we're going to do that today. But I hope you like it. I hope you try it and let me know how it turns out for your family. I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and you have a blessed and amazing day.